Now, if you looked at the title of this video, you of course came here with the question, what do you mean real title of this story arc? And that thought mostly comes from the fact that a lot of people have been approaching the situation that we're in terms of Wano being fairly long, basically eclipsing Dressrosa at this point, as Wano being one overall story arc. But people aren't giving it the same divide that a lot of similar presented storylines have actually had. What do I mean by that? Well, take Jaya and Skypiea, for example. A lot of times people had a tendency to clump that together until it was solidly defined that Jaya was its own arc and Skypiea was a completely separate one. Same thing with Water 7 and Enies Lobby. A lot of people had a tendency to kind of clump that together, but it's treated as two separate arcs because there was a major plot going on in terms of Water 7 and a major plot going on in terms of Enies Lobby. There were two separate major objectives there, but they were part of an overall whole, so it's considered the Water 7 saga. The same thing in terms of Impel Down and Marineford. You still kind of had the same overall setup, but it wasn't all just clumped together as the Marineford arc. No, they were considered two separate story arcs. The Impel Down arc, all about Luffy trying to get to the bottom of Impel Down to rescue Ace, and then the Marineford arc, all about the War of the Best. This massive conflict in order to save not just Ace, but to just get out alive in general. And that's why, from my perspective, a lot of people are looking at this current story arc kind of wrong, as they're feeling as though we've been going at this for far too long, and considering the Wano arc to have surpassed Dressrosa, when no, we've got around about 30 chapters before we probably reach the climax of what I am calling the Onigashima Arc. Or maybe even the Onigashima Raid Arc, if you want to consider it that, but usually that's not the typical naming convention. Because let's be honest, Onigashima really does kind of function a lot like what we saw with Enies Lobby. Allied forces coming together, various members of the Straw Hat Pirates facing down very powerful and capable opponents and over to overcome a common situation. I just feel like it makes a lot of sense, and I wouldn't be surprised that after this arc is all said and done, we start to see it marketed as the Onigashima Arc. And I especially believe that we have about 30 chapters left, because that would put it around the same amount of chapters as Whole Cake Island, especially considering all the plot points that really kind of need to be resolved. I feel could practically be wrapped up in 30 more chapters, with the various showdowns, Zoro versus King, Sanji versus Queen, Luffy, Momo, Yamato taking on Kaido, whatever Denjiro is up to, Raizo versus Fukurokuju, Inuarashi versus Jack, Nekomamushi versus Perospero, Kid and Law versus Big Mom, Killer versus Hawkins. I'm assuming X-Drake is off dealing with Apu. That's about 10 situations each as a whole. And even if you mostly just give every situation, every battle or so, one chapter to shine outside of the situation with Zoro, Sanji, Luffy, Law and Kid, and Killer, just one chapter each for all the rest, you still have a good amount of chapters to flesh everything else out and wrap up the whole story arc. Hell, even make a bit of a post-Wano or post-Onigashima arc about 15 chapters to just smooth everything else out, and you're good, you're solid. Because as big as this whole storyline is, something akin to Post Enies Lobby, the post-war section of Marineford, that's kind of needed after all of this. Something just to kind of get our characters' bearings all together, because Onigashima has been a major event, and considering we also still need to have that party for Jinbei and welcome in yet another Straw Hat, no matter who at this point you think it will be, more than likely Yamato. My hope would be for Carrot to also join, but I know that there's even more characters that people are wanting to join at this point and feel will join as well. I feel that a post-Onigashima arc will actually benefit us, and it won't take up too much time as a whole. I feel about 15 chapters is more than enough time to help get Wano completely in order so that the Straw Hats can move out, move on, settle any accounts that they need to, and just be completely out of that and moving on to more than likely Elbath, with us more than likely being in Elbath for a good 25 chapters or so. That really is my takeaway from the way that this whole entire time we've spent in Wano and in Onigashima has been structured. It just feels like the way that Oda usually structures a lot of his stories. Once there's a bit of a travel to another location, it usually ends up being another story arc. Although I'm surprised that I haven't really seen anybody else put that out there. So that makes me curious. What do you think about my thought of us being in the Onigashima arc and having about 30 more chapters to kind of wrap things up with an additional post-Onigashima story arc? Do you think I might have hit the nail on the head, or do you think I'm far off the mark? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.